Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read Prequel, or Making a Cat Cry the Adventure. I meant for this to happen yesterday, but I messed around and didn't even turn on my computer until like 8 o'clock at night. Sorry about that. In the last episode, we got, Sigrid to stop being recklessly evil. And that was all well and good. Well, we didn't do anything. We watched Katia do it. Also, it looks like there's closed pre-orders, but we can still boop the snoot down there. Anyway. Exercise caution. You wrote, do not let her get away with that no resistance to your robbery BS. Insist that she give you the items back. Kay wrote, make sure you have proof of membership to the guild in hand when you walk out of that place with a bag full of gold. Okay, oh, before I go, could I get you to sign this form saying that actually I am in the Magus Guild? The bag of gold I was I'm about to get was voluntarily given to me, and that this isn't some elaborate scheme to betray me and crush my tiny Khajiit heart. Sigrid finds the precaution somewhat tedious, but concedes that it's probably justified, given that she's betrayed you in an elaborate scheme every day since you met. Why is the contract written in Imp-Gall on a page of night writing? You tell her it's because she took your only pencil and paper. You hadn't really thought about it until now, but makeshift papers and writing utensils are pretty much the main thing your inventory items get used for. It's actually kind of amazing how much simpler your life will become once you own a notebook and pencil. I forgot that Sigrid is completely naked. Marry Saturalia then, or Satura, yeah. You can keep this pen. Anyway, since I'm the ranking member at this guild hall, my signature on this page should be sufficient proof of your guild membership. It won't be 100% official until I get the papers to the Imperial City, but I'll send them with the next patrolling guard, unless you're headed that way. Now I've got a courier job taking me the opposite way back to the coast. A friend's waiting for me, so I kind of want to get that finished rather than taking up a zillion more quests. You know, one thing at a time. No pan rot. Katia, move quest Miasma of Megalomania to your completed quest list. Make a simple delivery job your active quests. Custodian of the Dice wrote, okay, time to update that quest log. First, you'll need a completed quest section since you've actually managed to complete a quest, and also not die. Go ahead and put get stuff back from Sigrid in there. Now you need to set some new active quests. Buy Quill-Weave replacement books, that's like the reason you came to Kavach, so don't forget to do it. Return the arena gear to the orc, you're not going to compete now, so it'll be kind of a dick move to keep it when you have actual clothes to wear. Find and apologize to Captain Atrum, maybe he'll have calmed down and tell you more. And can tell you more. Wait for Acetil to come back and travel to Anvil with him. You're far more competent now, but there's no reason to take unnecessary risks by traveling alone. And speaking of quests, you rip your quest log in half to create a fancy new completed quest section. The whole Sigrid thing is clear, and joining the Mage Guild is clear. Just to fill in the list a little more, you mark the dance competition as clear too, since it requires an arena arrangement. Yours was shot with ice bolts, set on fire, soaked in blood, pierced full of holes, and torn apart to make a plate for a dog. Rest in peace, Kavach arena arrangement. Other than some miscellaneous stuff like punching Rajira for being a dick and apologizing to Captain Atrum for being a dick, it looks like your top priority is buying the replacement book, meeting up with Acetil, and heading back to Quill-Weaves. You've been dealing with this Kavach stuff for so long that it almost feels surreal to have everything just moving forward. Gilly wrote, sweet! Is there a cloning program on the books? I think I need to read up on the summoning basics and absolutely everything else. Mental note, replace any pillaged items like the books and straighten the posters. She's wagging it too. Sigrid, by the way, is there like a loan program or something for the magic books upstairs? Can I take some with me, learn all the spells, and become the best wizard ever? Probably no to most of that, Sigrid says, but the books are public guild property, so you're free to take what you need. And alchemy equipment, am I allowed to take like a full set of it? Like with the burny thing, the grindy thing, the tubey one, and the other? If you take the guild rules completely literally, you can take as many sets as you want. The government doesn't care. You know, it's gonna be a lot easier if you just act like a Khajiit. I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, you said I could take silver daggers. Was that a hyperbole, or are they like the alchemy equipment where I could just take as many as I want? Really, Sigrid says, just take whatever. You're starting to make it a very embarrassing to have lost a magic duel to you. Sorry, I'm just excited that all this hassle finally has a silver lining. She got it. Did you get it? Whiskers wrote, all things considered, Sigrid is owed some slack. She could have handled the turn events very poorly, but she's resorting to diplomacy if nothing else. Remain wary, but give credit where it's due. You know, Sigrid, without all the weird megalomania-inducing mind control stuff, you're really not that bad. Sigrid points out that she's done nothing but encourage you to steal things and abuse public services. Okay, you say so. You're, like, objectively bad. But I still feel like you're the kind of person I could conceivably be friends with. Like, someday. It's been, like, 30 minutes since we were enemies, so my emotions are complicated. And possibly influenced by a charm magic hangover, but I hope not. I'm just gonna leave before I make this weirder by continuing the talk. Sorry, bye. Saber101 wrote, "This has been fun and all, but you have your stuff. And a sack of gold to collect." Wolf Knight wrote, "Slowly walk away, get your stuff, and enjoy your bag of freaking gold." I'm not sure why the fire element, Atronach or whatever, is pointing to the trapdoor. Oh, it's like, I'll give you a boost. Dangerous strength! This is a really chill fire elemental thing that I forget the word for what it is. Hop wrote, don't keep too much money on your person, and be sure to buy things that don't have a high resale value. That orc's still making the rounds between Abel and Kvatch, remember? Kazarid wrote, not to be confused with Kazarad wrote, "You're likely going to get robbed on the way home. Might want to start thinking about that." You're not likely to get robbed. People travel between adjacent towns all the time without getting robbed, and just in case you're somehow the exception, you already set up a plan to go with Acetil or another patrolling soldier traveling the same road. Random highwaymen aren't going to pose any threat when you have an Imperial Legionnaire watching your back. Tonight should be all the proof you need that the universe isn't completely out to get you, and that sometimes things turn out alright. While you've certainly learned an important lesson about caution, that doesn't mean you have to expect everything in your life to backfire disastrously. Huh. What's that orange glow coming from outside? Oh no. Oh, it's the sun. Did it just jump from January the 1st to January the 31st? Sir Dickus Magnus wrote, "Just need to peek outside, can't hurt anyone, right?" Where did it get sunglasses? Boop. It's a beautiful sunrise! Also, someone across the street is cooking breakfast on a smoky outdoor grill. You have a good feeling about today. Katia, acquire breakfast. 8 wrote, "Acquire a delicious, freshly grilled breakfast from a street vendor." Whiskers wrote, "Not to forget everything else in a mad dash to collect something utterly delicious, but, maybe a nice succulent grilled something is a good way to go. A little treat to reward your resolve and tenacity to stay on course." Ordinarily, you'd be all over the idea of getting a fresh cooked meal from complete strangers, but you literally just ate a slab of raw venison about 30 seconds ago, and that's after eating a gallon of mashed imp organs, an unusually large potato, another slab of venison on your way down into the ritual chamber, maybe a few spider webs, half a sweet roll, and an entire fish. Honestly, you've gotten so fluent at wordlessly eating everything you walk past that it actually might be time to reel this once useful survival instinct back a little. Anyway, you were on a mission. You came in here to get Quill-Weave's package back, not to be distracted by every trivial thing that pops into your mind. Modesty wrote, "You could probably put your shirt back on now." Oh yeah. Harold Strongplate wrote, "Katia, you're close. Put some on." Although there's maybe one itsy-bitsy side quest you can justify. Your purple thief duds are still tucked away in a barrel outside, so you'll pick them up on your way out. But if all the things Sigrid took from you the other day are still here, that means somewhere on this floor is... Aha! Okay, wow, this is actually way too much clothing for once. You stow the invisibility cloak in your inventory for the time being. You'll figure out some tasteful way to combine your outfits later. For now, you're on a quest to get Quill-Weave's package back, and nothing will stop you. Nal wrote, "Go find Quill-Weave's package, and never separate it from it again, or with it again." She wrote, "Acquire fat loot," by which I mean your robes and the package. Trevorsky wrote, "Commence the victory looting montage." Was it all just in that one spot? Huh! Nothing stopped you. I mean, you didn't want anything to stop you, but at this point you were kind of expecting it? I guess everything is just back on track now. Lijosu wrote, "Huh. No horrific start to the day," or chastening fire puns or of the back designation. No action-packed, thrilling, degrading, and absurdly unlucky chain of events to send us into a spirally cycle of emotional self-harm and substance abuse? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Does this mean we can just do things without worrying about accidentally slipping on a puddle of blood, flying out the nearest window, and impaling ourselves on a particularly spiky fence stake? Color me skeptical. You spelled skeptical wrong. Did they spell skeptical wrong? That doesn't look right. Oh, that's not that important. As the fire elemental, like, makes clothes come back. Right, because they threw off the armor because everybody else was naked. You're somewhat conflicted over it. On one hand, things are going eerily well and you don't trust it. In your experience, moments like this only exist to raise your hopes up long enough to dash them, or cause you to fall into super obvious traps due to overconfidence. Narratively speaking, you're basically fucked. But, on the other hand, all the things happening to you right now are actually pretty normal. Someone who learns magic would usually end up in the Mage's Guild and be given free room and board. Someone who helps a wealthy sorceress out of a mind control spell would usually be given a big reward. Someone looking for a package while knowing the exact room it was stored in would usually find it. None of these strokes of luck are actually that lucky. They're just kind of what would happen to a normal person in your position. Assuming that the universe is actively out to fuck you over might be overestimating how much the universe actually cares about you. Or worse, worrying that this is some ominous sign of impending doom might be sapping all the joy from what is essentially you achieving all of your dreams. You explain your feelings to the Daedra and ask what she thinks. She says this topic is a little heavy for her and she was actually hoping to head down to that barbecue. She saw some corn cobs out there, so she was going to demonstrate an X-rated method of making popcorn, then disappear back to Infernace before the Nern police can get her for public indecency. You thank the Daedra for her brutal honesty and tell her this conversation has provided a new and uncomfortable perspective on how you probably come across to others. Wow. Katia's guidance wrote, "Make sure to place a mental note. Whenever you have enough mana and free time and a safe place, try to explore the outside skies of magic on your own, and make sure to map it as much as you can. No one knows how often you may end up having to call for help from somewhere outside of Nern. And do please try to minimize your interaction with whatever creatures you summon, okay? Because there are creatures strictly summoned to help out or to fight. Once they are done, they go back home." Well, these are creatures. "You're hardly an expert on conjuration, but you don't think you'd get much from just blindly exploring the skies with your magic vision? The only reason you were able to reach the Soul Cairn was because you knew the exact 6 stars to look at and how far to follow each of them along their length? And even then, it wasn't as though you were just flipping through a 4-dimensional stack of planes connected by star tubes." Sorry, yawning. "Each star was like its own coordinate, and you were perfectly able to find planes that were at the same position along the 5 of the stars and a different position along the 6. You can barely wrap your giant cat head around the sheer scale of it, but one thing is for certain. Probability of finding anything out there by chance is extremely low. But you probably should study conjuration a bit more now that you've learned the basics. On the off chance things do suddenly go horribly wrong and your entire world comes predictably crashing down around you, it would be pretty handy to have on-call protectors you can just pull to Nern whenever you need. Plus, you're the Mage's Guild now. After you pick up a new copy of that grammar book and take it to Quill-Weave, you guess reading books and learning to cast spells all day is basically your job?" As she does the magic hand thing. There's also a lot of non-conjuration magic you could study. Bad wrote, "Go get some popcorn." Wataru wrote, "Go get some popcorn." Spoonbender wrote, "Acquire popcorn." No! Given where the popcorn is coming from, that is a perfectly reasonable response to that. Spazmagoog wrote, "Don't forget your bag of gold." Butt Police wrote, "Allow yourself a small flicker of hope. Request a city guard to assist you back to Quill-Weave. Return to Quill-Weave." Anyway, you doubt the local guards will be willing or allowed to abandon their post and escort you all the way back to Quill-Weave's? Sorry about all this yawning, I got enough sleep. I don't know why it keeps happening. However, Astil did say they'd have a copy of his patrol schedule. If you understand right, he travels back and forth between the 2 towns every day, so it will be easy to join him on the trip as long as you know when he'll be arriving at Kavach. Of course, before you leave, you still need to buy Quill-Weave a new copy of this grammar book you defaced. And you still probably have at least an hour before the bookstore opens. If nothing else, though, a solid plan begins to form in your head. Visit the bookstore, get the patrol schedule from the town guard, and head back to Quill-Weave's. It feels good to have everything back on track. Jinx wrote, "Grab some dosh!" That face win, or that feel win. Speaking of reading, even though you rewrapped the book really well, you might want to open it up again and peruse it real quick, since even a minor healing spell would be useful. Of course, unless that would, like, drain the book of its magic somehow? I don't know how spellbooks work. That's how it works in Danmachi. I mean, you're honestly pretty proud of how well you managed to rewrap Quill-Weave's package, and don't want to do your usual thing where you mess up stuff once it's good. Plus, Quill-Weave is an author, so she probably likes to get her books super new and unopened so she can do the thing with them, you know, the bendy thing. Book people do it. The one with the hardcover book where you open it for the first time and it just... Yeah. If you want to read the book, though, there's literally another copy of it right here on the shelf. You take Principles of Restoration and add it to your inventory, since you're a Mage's Guild member and can do that. You're starting to get what Sigrid was saying earlier. If you were a violent and evil wizard, you kind of feel like the sheer convenience of the Mage's Guild will deter you from working against the Empire. Matthew 14:8-11 wrote, "Also take some of that shiny tempting gold." Darth Vader wrote, "Is that a spelled book of sparks I see on the bookshelf?" I can't do a Darth Vader voice because I don't have the ventilator. Because I've not been set on fire and had all my limbs chopped off. That I know of. Huh. Yes, it is. In the spirit of evil wizards, you go ahead and take the book on how to do zappy lightning fingers. The King Waffle wrote, take all the monies! Uriel Septim the 7th wrote, "Take the gold." Big Forehead wrote, "Nab those shiny coins." Dunce wrote, "Find a suitable bag for our bag of gold, which we will never lose and will always keep us safe." Lestis wrote, "Claim your precious gold!" You, guess you do have to take a bunch of gold before you leave. Like, that's totally a thing that has to happen. It just feels weird, like, you've definitely got your insatiable Khajiit instincts telling you to grab as many of the shinies as you can carry, but they're buried beneath layers and layers of social training telling you should feel guilty about that, and you will go to jail if you touch it. But you also have a signed contract telling you this is 100% okay and to just have at it. It is perfectly fine for you to follow the instincts. This is a thing that you can do. You confirm that, yes, you do have a signed contract telling you this is okay. You're going to do it. You're going to touch the money. You just have to find the right angle. Despite having seen her essentially naked, it feels weird to see her leg from this angle. It feels different than seeing her naked. But with painted whatever. Swan dive! Baker wrote, "Best angle, a swan dive right into it." Bloodsung wrote, "Dive in that gold, DuckTales style." Okay, so first of all, even the bigger of these two gold piles is like 2.5 feet deep at most. That might be pretty deep as far as mountains of gold go, but it's shallow enough that any swan dive would be a faceplant. Second, piles of tightly packed metal pieces don't exactly move around like water. This means it would still be a faceplant, even except a faceplant onto metal 2.5 feet earlier than expected. And third, growing up in the desert never taught you how to swim, so even if the pile were deeper and sheer force of will could cause the coins to flow around you, you just drown in a giant pool of money. Really, every part of this plan is bad, and it bothers you that swimming in gold is the most prominent thought on your mind. Makoto wrote, "The right angle is the low one, with a big open coin bag ready to grab the shinies." Micro wrote, 90 degrees? Money path, 2.5 feet, 90-degree angle. You gotta approach this strategically. Grabbing an appropriately grocery-sized bag from the storage room, you position yourself low to the ground, placing the bag adjacent to the huge stack of gold coins. With this optimal and carefully planned setup, filling the bag should be a piece of cake. You just gotta scrape at a few of the coins on the surface, let them tumble in, where they will legally become part of your giant bag of money. You really shouldn't be having so much trouble with this, especially as a Khajiit. Ngrasta wrote, "If you're uncomfortable just taking gold, why not just take what you need for a week? Like, do a budget for basic cost of living, and add in any other reasonable expenses related to your current quest." Lennithan wrote, "Admit that you're not going to be able to take all the gold because of the weight it would put on your conscience. Instead, Take an amount equal to your projected hourly pay over the last few days, and hazard pay due to dangerous work conditions, and also spoopy upper management. So maybe 100 gold or so. Disciple of the Cog wrote, "Alright, so let's think about this. You know that you've been given permission to take a sack of gold from this pile. You know that just taking a huge amount of gold will make you feel guilty and probably look guilty to people who think you're just another Khajiit. You need at least some gold to get yourself ready to travel and stay safe. Try and figure out how much you need to look and feel like a semi-respectable member of society. You basically just need a basic adventuring kit, backpack, bedroll, compass, etc., and some spending money for food and future supplies. Don't be greedy, but take what's needed to keep yourself from being on the streets again." And then she's doing math. Guess that does make it a little better. Sigrid took 22 septums from you, and you want to bring Quill-Weave back 30 septums to replace the money she gave you on your first failed trip to Kavash, plus maybe 200 to replace the invisibility potion you lost, and 50 to fix her windows and walls? You've never paid for windows before, but there's like the 2 glass parts and probably some complicated thing they have to do to get them into the holes. Usually your areas of expertise, but not with fragile glass panes. Haha. Anyway, that's 302. The Mage's Guild will cover your basic living expenses, but you want to give yourself some reward for breaching the barrier between realities and defeating an evil sorcerer, so you add an extra 30. Making off with a sack full of money didn't sit right with you, but the notion of taking 332 septums as payment is much more comfortable. That's probably not even a full bag, so you're not really abusing the contract, just taking what you need and maybe deserve. Zenny wrote, "Touch the gold, but let it stay there." The Awesome Turtle wrote, "Touch approximately 1 money." Boop. Breathe. Just touch. Katia, touch approximately 1. Let's open that in a new window. Oh no, I lost the window. Hold on. Cheatiness. Carelessness penalty. Okay, hold on. Why is there a cat toy? Nips that problem in the bud. You did it! You took even more than necessary! Final Khajiit score 11,132. Okay. Next page. It's only Karen wrote, "Pocket all the shinies!" August? A good idea wrote, "Take all the shinies." Jackham Led wrote, "You may have taken a bit too much." Gia wrote, "Can you even carry that much?" Why did she actually faceplant? Oh. Huh, it turns out that a large bag full of small metal pieces weighs as much as a large metal piece. You aren't exactly sure what you were expecting there. Baki Tree wrote, "Take a moment to collect yourself. You kinda overindulged in Khajiitiness. Well, more accurately, you became the living embodiment of it. You should check and see if your gold is even carryable. If not, well, you'll have to put some back." Kavra wrote, "Now take money out until you can actually lift the bag." Usually you'd be ready to accept that the world is out to screw you over and nothing good can ever happen, but you're medium high on life right now, and not ready to give up your giant bag of money. You've never had so much money that you had to think about its weight, so this is new to you. But maybe you can find some creative solution, elaborate magic spell, or deceptively simple and obvious idea that will help you carry it. There has to be a way. Stanthorpe wrote, "Eat a coin. Coins are made of gold. Gold is mostly inert, ergo, eating a coin should do little to no damage. So, eat a coin." Sour wrote, "Eat the money." Priest of Alakosh wrote, "Finish your transformation and swallow the gold, so no other Khajiit paws may touch it." Godhead wrote, "Try eating a coin, you subhuman kitty." It occurs to you moments too late that eating something that will not actually make it lighter than carrying it normally. On the bright side, you now know that money tastes awful and you should never do this again. On the less bright side, there's a sharp diamond somewhere in your digestive tract and you should probably avoid any strenuous rolling and dodging for a little while. Cobalt wrote, now that you've taken some gold, probably best to take inventory and see what gear you could use while you're on the road. Pencil Fred wrote, now that you're all equipped with that conspicuously large bag of gold, you should dispose of the key ring that you stole. Actually, thinking about it, now that you're in the Mages Guild, you probably get some kind of locker in the guild halls where you can leave stuff you're not using. Instead of leaving half the bag of money, you probably just leave behind some of the other items in your inventory. You obviously want to hold on to Quill-Weave's package, the invisibility cloak, the contract confirming Mages Guild membership, and the key to the guild halls. Some of this other stuff might be less important to carry on you at all times though, such as the lightning spell book, the guide to healing magic, the unborn potted plant, the broken walking stick, the bent piece of metal, the 4 wolf teeth, the handful of regular grass blades, the old paintbrush you found, the defaced book about cross-cultural grammar differences, the neck gaiter that came with your thief outfit, Sigrid's pen, the skeleton horse plushie, the promotional pamphlet about the soul cairn, the soul gem, the alchemy book for blind people, the 6 copies of the same conjuration spell book, the cotton eye bandage, the lockpick, the second page of that letter the vampire left you, the key to the chapel of Akatosh, the key to the chapel of Akatosh Undercroft, the key to Sigrid's meat cellar, the top half of your broken hatchet, any of the 11 silver daggers, the 6 alchemical retorts, the 6 alembics, the 3 iron calcinators, the 2 mortars and pestles, or the leather strap and coin purse. But what if you find yourself in a situation where you need a handful of grass blades? Consolidate inventory. Now we're in September of 2019. Man, we're just moving along the timeline. Questionable Thought Process wrote, you're in the Mages Guild with a ton of alchemical ingredients, books, and equipment. Make some potions. Lighten the load while learning. You wouldn't say it lightened the load, since you're carrying the exact same amount of grass and also a glass bottle, but you are now the proud owner of a poison resistance potion. Should some nefarious fiend ever poison you, you can just pop the cork off this baby and slowly die while you struggle to shake the glob of grass and foxglove nectar off the bottom of the bottle. In retrospect, you probably were supposed to add water. But whatever, it's still the first real potion you've made and you're proud. Semyef 007 wrote, hey, don't forget about your stuff you left in that box. Rage Sponge wrote, use your newfound conjuration skills, why not try summoning things to you? That way you can leave it somewhere safe and retrieve it at any time. Temet Noske wrote, before I do anything else, I take a small portion of all of the monies and separate it into a smaller pouch, just enough to fulfill my previous calculations of what a fair amount was. This came out to a little more than 300 gold pieces. Once I have this pouch, I will make it one of my main priorities to stash this somewhere safe while invisible, preferably buried next to a distinct tree/rock/marker that only I will know. Already done! Your sneaky purple outfit and broken armor is safely back in your inventory, which, by the way, has been culled down to a tidy 18 items after meticulously tallying up your every thought about what you should and shouldn't be left behind. By popular demand, you even split them into 3 categories: miscellaneous, clothing, and actually important. The miscellaneous category also has the map of Cyrodiil you forgot was tucked in the grammar book. Taking inventory is hard. With this new streamlined inventory, you were able to make off with 628 septims, about a 30-pound bag. On top of that, you stuffed an extra 100 septims in the leather coin purse and hid it in a secret place in case you somehow lose all your money again. You know, that sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. You stuck it under some rocks in the hatch that lead to the chapel Undercroft. As for using your newfound conjuration skills to summon money and items to you, you're pretty sure it doesn't work like that. You haven't read up on all the details yet, but when you connected to the soul cairn, it wasn't as though you were reaching somewhere far away. It was like they were right on top of you, just in a weird direction. If there's a way to magically reach out to items somewhere else on Nirn, you expect it's different and harder than reaching things in the soul cairn. Though they did say that summoning with them gave you a complimentary savings account. Screaming. Slutty meat sack. You're unsure what you're supposed to do with this. Told Salsa wrote, don't think of how much alcohol you could buy with your newfound wealth. The quantity doesn't exactly matter much in your case. After one drink, you'd somehow end up getting more drinks no matter what, and still manage to burn through all your money regardless. But you do acknowledge that it will be completely impossible to go get a celebratory drink right now, and you're completely planning to. You're just putting it off for a bit while you focus on a few more immediate processes. such as checking when Astel's patrol reaches Kvatch, traveling with him back to Anvil, delivering Quill-Weave's package, moving into the Major's Guild to become a successful wizard, and living happily ever after for the rest of your life. You reassure yourself that after that you're going to get totally blasted. But priority 1, getting Astel's patrol schedule. Magic Max wrote, you should probably go and get Astel's patrol schedule and get back on track. Someone in the guard barracks should have the... Ugh! Oh, you're kind of hoping to go into this encounter with more planning. Time to deliver the apology then. We're now in October of 2019. Nords like putting wasabi on their shields, wrote. Wow, it truly feels like years since you've seen Captain Gaius, huh? But it's been just a day since you last saw him, weirdly enough. Do what's right, humbly apologize for your rude behavior, and then inquire about the schedule. Don't do it the other way around. Alicite wrote, it'd be nice if we could start over with him. He really does seem like a nice guy, and if he's going through the same nightmares as you, I imagine he's going through a lot just like you have. King Xantair wrote, you should apologize, you sort of dropped the ball last time you talked. Let me know that while serious, you could have said it better. Smile wrote, put your balls on the table. You mean serious business and he needs to understand it. Something like that. Okay, listen, while it seems far-fetched, I wasn't screwing with you. In fact, it is even less far-fetched than the story you told me about meeting an actual fucking Daedric prince. I've had enough with this nightmares, and you're my only hint in forever, so you're gonna sit down and fucking listen. Okay. Before you say anything, I want to say that I'm sorry. When we first met, it wasn't right for me to mock you for being afraid of cultists. I should have known better, especially when I have my own nightmare-induced phobia that nobody else takes seriously. Also, I shouldn't have gone flaunted to you that I used to be a cultist, especially since it was only half true. Like, technically I was in a lot of cults, like 3 at any given time, and it was mostly just getting gangbanged on stone altars. And that's probably too much information, but I'm trying to be honest and open here, and that always goes weird places. Just bear with me for a minute. When I told you I had terrifying recurring nightmares that were almost just like yours, except with a king instead of a cultist, I swear I wasn't lying. And when I said this dream had tried talking to me with big glowing letters the other night, I also wasn't lying. It was just as weird to me as it probably sounded to you, and I totally get why you thought I was bullshitting you, but like, I'm not. I'm confused and trying to figure out what's going on with my weird nightmares just like you are. I'm sorry I handled everything between us really badly. I hope we can be like, not friends, but in that sort of comfortable state where you are going to punch me in the face, just coexisting. You afraid of cultists, me afraid of kings. Well, I still say kings aren't scary in the slightest. 2.5 hours later, guys begrudgingly concedes that there are perhaps some valid reasons for people to be afraid of kings. Likewise, you admit that a reasonable apprehension of cultists could be conditionally justified. You're glad the two of you cleared that up. So let's say you were telling the truth yesterday. The nightmare was carrying on per usual, then suddenly big glowing words appeared addressing you directly? Yes, they told me not to be afraid, and then, like, the big king attacked me? I was about as afraid as anyone would be in that situation, and the floating letters berated me for it. They said to be back later and to wait there. And did you see them again last night? Guys asked. To be honest, I haven't slept since then. My life's been taking a pretty good turn recently, so my current plan is basically to just never sleep again. Speaking of, is that coffee on the table? Guy says it's 2 hours cold and also his. You ask him what the fine would be for stealing his cold coffee? 2 septims, he says. Okay, you say. Anyway, if the... So is this him talking? Anyway, if the big glowing... The big glowing words in the nightmare were Oh, sorry, that's her. If the big glowing words in the nightmare were telling me to not be afraid, that can't be Vermina, right? You said she was really big on fear and really bad at lying? Understatement on the line, but yes. Assuming you're telling the truth about having nightmares like mine, and aren't yet another bogus lead, this glowing message could very well be the dream thief she spoke of. But, if the words you saw were the same entity giving the nightmares, why would they object to your fear? Were they speaking as though it were some sort of twisted test? Not really? It was more like they didn't have control over the nightmare. Real talk, though, 4 hours ago my major goal in life was to find 30 septims I lost, so speculating on the machinations of supernatural entities is kind of whiplashy and already feels like a horrible mistake. Is there, like, some evil god expert we can field this to? Far more of them on Nern than I'm comfortable with, but few other than Vermina cultists claim their dark patron holds any dominion over dreams and nightmares. A vampire, maybe? I believe one lives over on the east side of town. Okay, tangent here, but I'm glad we're both openly acknowledging that fact right now. Lejosu wrote, you should probably mention that you could call Vermina now if you wanted. Free of charge, no catch. Wait, For me to give you her number, she said to have a conjurer call if you found any new information about your nightmares. I'm a conjurer now, and we have information. If you give me the number, I might be able to ask her for help. Guys cocks an eyebrow. You expected me to hold onto a scrap of paper given to me by an unhelpful demon? What? Yes! That was clearly an important item. Why would you throw away something given to you by a literal evil god? I feel like we have very different ideas on what should be done with things left behind by evil gods. Whatever, you say. The point stands. She says she wants information on your weird dreams. Our weird dreams. She's the Daedric Prince of normal nightmares, right? The next time one of us is having a normal nightmare, maybe we can get her attention and tell her about the weird glowing letters? Hold on, guy says. You have normal nightmares? You never found the trick to that? If you concentrate really hard on something else scary when you're going to sleep, like, half the time you'll have a normal nightmare instead of a crazy monochrome terror trip. Outside of a reasonable apprehension towards cultists, there aren't many things that scare a seasoned captain of the guard. Man, you screwed yourself over then. You gotta be like me, afraid of kings, queens, and also everything else. Cryos then wrote, "Well, not ideal. I'm sure he'll be happy to provide you the schedule if you tell him you plan on leaving soon." Flying Frog wrote, "It's one that you only want to know the patrol schedule for Astatos patrol times, and you're more than happy to stay in clear view of any guards who might be around while waiting for the ultimate two-leg killing machine working to uphold the law to come back so you can accompany him to your destination." Oh, speaking of being afraid of everything, do you have a patrol schedule for the Legionnaire on the Gold Road? I need to head back to Anvil, but I plan to travel with him if I can, safety and all that. Safety is rarely much of an issue along the road to Anvil, but if memory serves, on Tyrdas he reaches the base of the mountain at around 5 p.m. When we traveled here, he said he was going to request a 6-hour change in the schedule to catch a bandit that's been dodging Legion patrols. Have you heard anything about that? Any change in local patrol schedules would have been reported directly to me, and I haven't gotten anything. I wager the bureaucrats are probably still waffling on it, or just passed it along to the Fighters Guild. And again, if the goal is to catch a bandit off guard, the change might be unannounced. Great! Guess I should have, asked if there was a shifting 6 hours... 6 hours earlier or 6 hours later. Okay, I'm gonna stop that here. So, this has been Anasha Sasuke. This was either episode 31 or 32. Might have been 30. I don't know. Oh, it's also October the 31st. Spooky day. Of Let's Read Prequel or Making a Cat Cry the Adventure. If you liked it, like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things. If you want to click the bell, you can do that as well so that you're notified of future uploads. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.